Alright everyone, we start off today talking about U.S. inflation numbers. They have come in and they are worse actually a little bit than even I expected. I was saying 8.3, 8.4. Then I looked and within the next couple of days, the general consensus was about that. It's 8.5 now, so it's a tenth of a point higher than that threshold. This is bad. Anything above 8% inflation is terrible. And so naturally, there's no way to spin this as positive because it's clearly not. They tried to say the inflation's good for us, it'll cause wages to rise behind inflation, but they never mentioned that to the economically illiterate, of course. Now they're trying to blame Vladimir Putin. Well, this is the Putin inflation. It's the Putin price hikes because of the war with Ukraine, and of course this has removed Russian oil from the U.S. economy. It is caused economic problems. But it's not the cause of this. And I've never seen the legacy media so dedicated to doing damage control for an administration. Mainly because since Jimmy Carter, you've never had so many failures in such a short time, and we've seen some real winners since Jimmy Carter. Herbert Walker puking on the Japanese Prime Minister and passing out at a dinner once. Everything George W. did, certainly some of Obama's derpier moments. They never bothered to do damage control in extreme situations until very recently. Never did for Trump, probably because they didn't need to. They did the obverse of that. Link in the description, archived of course. Second link, you can analyze the monthly data. That's what I was working from when I said 8.3 was the most likely number, because it would be on the same trajectory. If that deviation is the result of price hiking because of the lack of Russian oil, then so be it. It still would have been above 8%. It had still hit 6%, I think actually 7% before Russia invaded Ukraine and was on the rise anyway. The timing makes this uptick, which is higher than before, more likely the responsibility of the infrastructure bill funny money spending. The pork barrel bill, shovel-ready 2.0. The fact is that Russian oil accounts for a very small proportion of U.S. fuel consumption. Now, it's much more harmful for Europe. If this were actually the case of this being the result of Russia, then you would see Europe's inflation all of a sudden at the same time should skyrocket because, the oil spigot's been partially shut off, the gas spigot. The U.S. is not reliant on Russian natural gas. I would say the Biden administration, if it with a straight face wants to blame Putin for this, instead of its own lockdownerism affecting ports, you still have port shortages in the United States, attacking the trucking industry, openly and abashedly attacking them, regulating and re-regulating and regulating again with the energy industry, and also pledging to adopt a new massive high tax model, which is going to destroy business and consumer confidence. It's not at high levels right now. All of these things are responsible for mainly what we're seeing. But if you do want to blame Putin, deregulate the energy industry, restart Keystone, back off of it, apologize to the American people for an entire year of incompetence. But the legacy media is not going to put that two and two together because they are literally taking economic marching orders from the Biden administration. They have bragged about it. They have Oliver Darcy from CNN has explicitly bragged on Twitter multiple times about how the Biden administration approached the legacy media, sent them emails and said, look, we want to spin economic news as more positive for the American people, so you need to help us. And apparently they all agreed. If you look at MSN's headline right now, it's basically, well, this is the Putin inflation. But it's not. Putin has nothing to do with this. Yes, that loss of fuel is going to show up. You know when it's going to show up? And it won't be just the fuel. It'll have an impact. It'll be more about fertilizer, and it'll show up this autumn when the harvest happens. Yes, it'll begin showing up in July and August, effectively. That's when your prices are going to skyrocket. Mainly at first, the unprocessed goods. The cost of corn, a cob of corn. All of a sudden, you're paying $10 a cob, and you don't know why. Then belatedly, as the feedstocks have to be replenished over time for livestock, the meat prices will begin going up. Then it'll infect the processed meats, because of course you harvest the meat, the fresh stuff, less processed or local or whatever, that goes on the table first, and then stuff gets canned and shit, and it gets on the shelves. As that gets rotated out, that will begin to skyrocket. Those fuel prices are making farming at every level more difficult. Now, the Biden admin could solve that too. They could subsidize the farmers and say, okay, don't worry about the fertilizer. We'll take care of the excess and we'll just adjust it for what would be the cost for normal inflation so you won't have to worry. Huzzah would say the farmers. Oh shit would say everyone else as they pump trillions more funny money into the economy, inflating the currency even further, which would cause price hikes. They'd be more evened out, but it would be across the board, so it wouldn't make any difference. The Biden admin's between a cog and a hard place. They don't know what they're doing. Blaming Putin is very, very convenient. And again, who predicted and who could have predicted that would be the case? Biden is happy that Ukraine got invaded. It gives him a scapegoat for his stupid fans. His low-info fans actually believe this shit. Well, them dad-blamed Russians is responsible for why I'm paying more at the pump because their memory span is so short. They can't remember beyond a month or two, and so it's all you could post-Ukraine. They can't even remember the prior year of the Biden price hikes. Yeah, there will be Putin price hikes. It'll mainly affect people come the harvest season on top of all of this other inflation. This is the result of the corporate bailouts of the dawn of the Biden admin. Trump got us to like 4.0 inflation with his initial spending, which isn't great, but it's not post 5%, so it's not a huge concern. And literally everything since then has been pure Biden, and will be for several more months. It doesn't impact the economy instantaneously. So yeah, it's the Biden price hikes. But the legacy media, by and large, is reporting that somehow Vladimir Putin is more responsible for the U.S. economy than the U.S. government is. That makes a whole lot of sense. See through the fucking propaganda. That's about all. Peace out.